you understand.
Hey everybody, I'm Tony Jones, and welcome to the Tony Jones Show.
There's not enough people are willing to take the risk. It's just sort of a herd mentality, a lemming-like mentality. If you don't go with the flow, you're anti-American and therefore a suspect.
The Tony Jones Show, featuring punk, rockabilly, psychobilly, and Providence, Rhode Island's finest, starts right now.
He's a dangerous militia member, I hear. Oh, and there she blows.
Some Morris and the East Coast right here on the Tony Jones Show. Friends, the time for mediocrity and broadcasting is over. My name is Tony Jones, and you were tuned in to the Tony Jones Show, your destination for talk and rock, online at TonyJones.org. On Facebook, it's Facebook.com/Tony Jones Show, and on the almighty Twitter at Tony Jones in RI. We got a ton of new music for you tonight coming in. If you go to rifreeradio.org, you click on the contact page if you'd like to be in studio, if you have music to get in rotation with us here on the Tony Jones Show or throughout the Rhode Island Free Radio personalities. Go on over there, and the inbox is full. A bunch of great new music coming in over there. With me, as always, is my occasional co-host, Mr. George Garner. George, good evening.
Good evening. It's great to be back.
Great to have you in our what is now heated studio.
And it's a good thing, too, because you're just overcoming bubonic plague. And I'm overcoming third shift, I'm not sure what the word is for it.
Dementia?
Dementia, fatigue.
A few weeks ago on the show, we were lamenting the lack of heat in the studio, and
here it is.
Now it's nice and crispy. We got a lot to talk about tonight because, well, I can't even begin to explain what is going on out there.
I don't know. I mean,
I do more of a straight ahead show. You know, I mean, George, your show, The Haunted Cabaret, gets into different aspects, and you're on a little bit later time slot, and we have Chuckles Crypt here, and we have shows that are kind of 13 folds. They kind of go all over the place. I do kind of more of a straight ahead, positive, fun show.
Yeah, but I'll tell you, Tony, honest to God, the news that came out this week, I don't know if my show or the Crypt or Dave, I don't know if any of us are capable of handling the absurdity of the news that have come out this week.
When you're in the quasi-entertainment alternative media business, what do you do when the quote-unquote real world is more screwed up than you could ever possibly just work on yourself?
Yeah, I mean, I've pointed this out a couple of times on the Haunted Cabaret. I mean, we book ourselves as the home of all things horror. but what's more existentially horrible than this slate of presidential candidates?
Now, I am a person who advocates for my generation, the millennials, getting more involved in the political process. Because
I think they'd better.
I'm involved in a bunch of different things and at town meetings and on that level, and even on the state level. I'm the youngest dude around. It's me, and then everybody else is retirees. They're in their 60s, and they're the ones that are serving on these boards, and they're the ones that are kind of calling it out. And the case that I've made is that, if we're going to stay in Rhode Island, my generation, we're the folks that are going to have to live with those consequences for the next 20, 30 years. But when I look around, I don't see anybody under the age of 100 years old being involved in the political process.
Seriously, I mean, you're no response at all from...
It's just... I think with the millennials, everybody has $100,000 in student loans, and they have a $150,000 mortgage, and they're just trying to. They're looking around. They're just trying to keep going.
They're pretty much withdrawn into themselves. In other words, at the worst possible time.
Yeah, unfortunately, this is. But it's and it's hard for me to make that case when they take a look at what's going on now.
Well, I think there's a sense of futility. In the air. Also, I mean, I think a millennial with a $100,000 student loan would be more than happy to take action if he or she had the faintest optimism, that taking action, taking time away from the job that's paying the interest on the student loan would accomplish anything. And that's the thing. You got to break through that cynicism.
Yeah. And that's what I never understood about folks who are willing to chime in about the president or presidential election, things along those lines. But when you talk to them about what's happening on the town and state level, the stuff that's going to affect their everyday lives, they kind of gloss over a little bit. Yeah,
it took me a while. I will admit that, in my younger days.
Back in my day.
Well, I won't go quite as far as the, that particular accent there on with the historical implications. But, no, in all seriousness, I mean, when I was in, college before I dropped out a couple of times, back in those days, I did say, who's going to be president? It did preoccupy me.
Right.
In other words, I was always interested in politics. I was always interested in history. But you're right. It's very true. It's who's going to be president, who's going to go to the Senate. After a certain point, it's, okay, who's going to go and be elected to the nominated to the Supreme Court. Right. But, no, you're right. Up until relatively late in life, I never paid the least bit of attention to local politics.
Yeah, everybody's hair is on fire for the wrong thing.
Right.
It's backwards.
And if I was a conspiracy nut, I'd say, okay, maybe that's just the way they want it here in Rhode Island. But I think what happens, too, is once you do wake up and look around and say, okay, there's something wrong here in Rhode Island politically, then the next thing that happens is it doesn't take long before you become. I think the progress from awareness to cynicism is probably the shortest path in this state as in any place in the United States.
And because of the close proximity, there's a step in there where people just decide to move on to Rhode Island. And so, and I don't mean this offensively, that's when we're left with all the losers. Because anybody with anything going on bails out of the state.
Right, just says the hell with it and they're gone.
And they can move 20 minutes away and pay less taxes and cheaper rent and less gas. And
it doesn't help that apparently the governor of nearby Massachusetts next door, as you hinted at, Massachusetts seems to have its act together after all these years.
Yeah.
I mean, economically, tax, everything. They seem to have it going 100%.
You and I worked at a over-the-air AM station where that was located in Providence, but the transmitter site was in Attleboro, so I was going back and forth to Attleboro quite a bit, and I would get to the border there in 95, and Attleboro was the promised land. I mean,
you almost hear the birds calling, the heavenly chorus, the sun rising from the horizon.
You'd hit that big bump where the roads went from crappy potholes to nice and smooth, and that was.
And you're on your way when you reach that point, and then you really know you've arrived when you travel up a little longer along 95 North, where it goes into that weird curve. If you know the curve I'm talking about, and then you go around that big round curve, and then it opens out again straight, and you see those transmitters on the big hill, and that's almost to me like kind of in the Lord of the Rings, the gateway to the West. It's like the gateway to modernity and civilization. Yeah.
And less taxes.
And no excise tax. I don't think. Does Massachusetts have an excise tax?
I lose track.
For the cars? I do too.
And, I want to get to some of the new music we were talking about, and I also have a Facebook-related story coming up I want to talk about a little bit because, of course, anybody in alternative media lives on social media these days. But my millennial brothers and sisters, this is the year. This is the year. Take just a little bit of time for me.
Yeah, I mean, it can be done. I mean, if we look at, again, like you say, misdirected effort. If you look at the Bernie Sanders campaign, I mean, there's a lot of first-time political novices involved in that. On the other side, even the Trump thing. I mean, there's there are not so many young people, but there's a lot of first-time novices, of any age involved. And so people do get, they are getting riled up. But like you said, on the national presidential level, which that isn't going to do it.
No, head on down to your town hall. I'm telling you, you won't regret it.
Yeah, and maybe nail the door shut. So those idiots can't go back to work the next morning.
So this track just came in through rifreeradio.org. They clicked on the contact page. Sonicdivine, the name of the artist. King of Everything, the name of this song right here on The Tony Jones Show.
Man with a 555 soul. I'm the 1111 when things start to get old. I'm the 444 when you're 01. Doesn't mean anything If 6 was 9, then I must be 3. I'm the them, those, the I, the you, and me. I'm the 6-pointed star, Fibonacci. I'm the 111, 8 to infinity. I am the king of everything. I am the bird and the flame.